Chapter 11. Waking up in the morning, not from a clawing nightmare of smothering emptiness, but from the soft light seeping through the curtains. Feeling not a leaden exhaustion or fevered agitation, but a calm vitality, a readiness to embrace the new day, brewing coffee, inhaling its aroma, and looking out the window, not with sorrow or anxiety, but with quiet curiosity. What's the weather like today? What kind of day will it be? Finding joy in simple things. The taste of food, the warmth of sunlight on your skin, the ability to read a book without losing track of the story, the ability to talk to a loved one without fear of snapping or withdrawing. Falling asleep at night, not from sheer exhaustion or under the effects of strong sleeping pills, but with a pleasant sense of satisfaction from the day lived, sinking into a deep, restorative sleep. Is this not happiness? For someone else, perhaps this would simply be an unremarkable, ordinary life. But for Thomas, who had endured all the circles of hell brought on by bipolar disorder, through the euphoria of manias and the abysses of depressions, through years of medication experiments and social isolation, this was indeed happiness. Quiet, hard-earned, conscious happiness. He could now honestly tell himself and the world, I am a happy man. Of course, the worm of doubt, nurtured by years of instability, would occasionally wake up. Is this just another phase? An elusive hypomania, followed by inevitable reckoning? But 1 year passed, then 2, then 3, and he still felt the same, stable, calm, with a sense of inner harmony that he had never known before. It wasn't euphoria, nor a soaring flight. It was solid ground beneath his feet, a safe harbor found after many years of sailing through the stormy, unpredictable ocean of his illness. This stability wasn't a gift of fate or the result of some magic pill. It was the harvest of long, painstaking, daily work on himself. It was the result of decisions he made and his unwavering commitment to follow through on them. Thomas had learned to live with his illness, not by ignoring it, but also not allowing it to completely control his life. He became the captain of his own ship, even if it wasn't always obedient, learning how to navigate around reefs and sandbanks, anticipate storms, and make use of favorable winds. His guiding compass became the rule. Health comes first. Not career, not money, not fleeting desires, but his mental and physical well-being. Every decision, every plan, every new opportunity now passed through this filter. Do I want to take on this new project? He would ask himself. It offers good income and interesting challenges, but am I ready for the stress that comes with it? The irregular schedule, the potential conflicts. Will I end up paying for this money with my sleep, my peace of mind, my stability? And if the answer to that last question was yes, he would decline, no matter how tempting the opportunity might be. Is it worth continuing to communicate with this person? He pondered. They're an interesting conversationalist, but after our interactions, I often feel drained and wound up. The emotional roller coaster unsettles me as well. Do I really need this? With gentle but firm resolve, he distanced himself, protecting his fragile sense of balance. Is there any point in starting a relationship with a woman of this kind? This question became central to him after a brief but healing romance with Yelena. He realized that he didn't need drama, passion on the edge, or the emotional roller coaster he had unconsciously sought or provoked in the past. What he needed was a calm, reliable harbor, a partner who would understand and accept his traits, who wouldn't fray his nerves, provoke him, or demand the impossible. He had learned to align his desires and goals with his mental well-being. His ambitions hadn't gone anywhere. The desire to have more and better, better and more, is a natural human aspiration, and Thomas was no exception. He wanted to earn well, live comfortably, and grow professionally. But now he understood that the path to these goals had to be different, not through overexertion and self-destruction as before, but through steady, measured work that accounted for his needs and limitations. It was better to move slowly but steadily than to take another leap forward only to fall back into the abyss. The cornerstone of his stability became a clear daily routine. This wasn't a whim, but a vital necessity. People with bipolar disorder are especially sensitive to disruptions in circadian rhythms. Chaos in the daily routine almost inevitably leads to mood destabilization. Therefore, Thomas established a strict schedule for himself and adhered to it with almost religious diligence. Sleep. No less than 8 hours a night. Going to bed and waking up at the same time every day, even on weekends. No late night binge watching on the computer or television. An hour before bedtime, no gadgets. Only calm reading or soft music. His bedroom was his sanctuary of tranquility. Dark curtains, a comfortable bed, and a cool atmosphere. Quality sleep became the foundation of his well-being. Nutrition. Regular and healthy. No skipping meals, no overeating late at night. He noticed that certain foods affects his condition, so he tried to avoid excessive sugar, caffeine, and processed foods. Simple, homemade meals became his norm. Physical activity. 3 times a week, without fail. He chose swimming and the gym. Swimming calmed and relaxed him, washing away the tension of the day. Lifting weights provided an outlet for built-up energy, strengthening not only his body, but also his spirit, giving him a sense of control and power. For him, exercise was not just a hobby, but an integral part of his therapy, a way to regulate his mood and reduce stress levels. Work. Clear boundaries. He worked from home, running his small business, which gave him flexibility but also demanded self-discipline. He set strict working hours for himself and tried not to break them. No working in the evenings or on weekends unless something urgent came up. He learned to say no to clients who made unreasonable demands or tried to take advantage of him. He understood that his resources were limited and managed them carefully. Medications and therapy. Strict adherence to the medication regimen prescribed by his doctor. Regular visits to the psychiatrist, not just for prescriptions, but also for monitoring his condition, discussing any slight changes, and adjusting treatment if necessary. He also found a good psychotherapist and attended sessions once a week. This helped him better understand himself, his reactions, work through past traumas, learn new coping mechanisms for stress, and navigate relationships. This structured lifestyle required effort and self-discipline, but the rewards made it worthwhile. Thomas felt like the master of his life, not a small piece of driftwood tossed around by the waves of his illness. And in this new, stable life, there was room for love as well. He wasn't actively searching for it, but he was open to it. After his experience with Yelena, he knew he was capable of deep feelings and healthy relationship. That's how he met Anya. They met at an English language course that Thomas attended to expand his social circle a bit and take his mind off work. Anya was a couple of years younger than him, worked as a designer, practiced yoga, and loved long walks. She was calm, balanced, with a gentle sense of humor and kind eyes. She didn't have the drama of Aglaé or the worldly wisdom of Yelena. She was just normal, in the best sense of the word. Their relationship developed slowly, without dizzying highs or agonizing lows. They got to know each other, shared their thoughts, and spent weekends together. From the very beginning, Thomas was honest with her. He didn't immediately lay bare all the details of his illness, but he also didn't try to be someone he wasn't. He spoke about his need for stability, predictability, and personal space. He explained why his sleep schedule was so important and why he didn't drink alcohol. Anya approached this with understanding. Sensitive to his vulnerability, she avoided unnecessary questions with natural tact. Her calmness and acceptance created the very atmosphere of safety that Thomas needed so much. She didn't demand constant attention from him, didn't throw jealous fits, and didn't try to change him. She was simply there, supportive, understanding, not getting on his nerves. And yet, she wasn't boring. She had her own interests, her own friends, her own life. She was beautiful, not in a striking way, but with a soft, natural beauty that was pleasing to the eye and warming to the soul. She was exactly the kind of woman he needed. Not perfect, but the right one. Someone with whom he could build a stable, secure future without fearing that a careless word or an unforeseen situation would destroy everything to its core. Their love wasn't a raging fire, but rather the steady, warm flame of a fireplace, one you could sit by and warm yourself on a long winter's evening. Thomas's professional life also began to stabilize. After being laid off from the bank and going through a period of low-paying odd jobs, he decided to leverage his knowledge and experience as a systems administrator to start his own business. He opened a small company that provided IT services to small and medium-sized businesses, network setup, computer maintenance, technical support, and consulting. At first, it wasn't easy. He had to work a lot, look for clients, and solve organizational issues. But Thomas approached this wisely, keeping his top priority in mind, his health. He didn't chase excessive profits or take on an overwhelming workload. He built the business slowly but steadily, striving to automate processes, delegate tasks, and establish long-term relationships with clients. The experience he had gained during his years of trials proved to be incredibly helpful. Working at the bank, despite all the negative aspects, had taught him how to communicate with different people, understand their needs, and negotiate effectively. His interest in reading psychology and business books during periods of stability provided him with a solid theoretical foundation. And most importantly, his illness, paradoxically, had taught him how to understand people on a deeper level. He became more observant, able to read hidden motives, spot insecurity, and sense people's emotional state. This helped him find common ground with a variety of clients, build trusting relationships, and avoid conflicts. His business was growing, not rapidly but steadily. He gained loyal clients, a good reputation, and a decent income. He could afford to work at his own pace, free from bosses and corporate rules. He felt satisfaction in his work, in doing something meaningful, and from being in control of his own life. Sometimes, during quiet evenings, sitting in a cozy armchair with a book or next to Anya, Thomas would recall the past. These memories used to be filled with bitterness and regret. He pitied himself, lamenting the lost years of his youth and early adulthood when he battled illness instead of studying, traveling, or falling in love like his peers. He mourned the time spent endlessly experimenting with medications, the side effects that poisoned his life, the missed opportunity, the broken relationships. It seemed to him that he had paid too high a price for his illness. He wished he could have what he had now: stability, a woman he loved, his own business, but still be 10 years younger, reclaiming what felt like stolen time. But gradually that bitterness faded. Acceptance took its place. He came to understand that his past, no matter how difficult it had been, had shaped the person he was. Yes, he had gone through hell, but he had survived. He had learned to appreciate the simple joys of life in a way that many healthy people never did. He had learned to understand himself and others on a deeper level. He had gained inner strength and wisdom that only come through suffering. He couldn't change the past, but he could accept it as part of his journey. And he did. Self-pity faded into a quiet gratitude for what he now had. He had turned 36, a time then many begin to take stock of their lives and make plans for the future. Thomas thought about his future too, about expanding his business, possibly moving to a bigger house, starting a family with Anya. But all these thoughts and plans faded into the background in light of a new, terrifying reality. War. The word itself was a grenade tossed into his carefully constructed peace. What once seemed distant and impossible had become an everyday reality. News of the conflict, concern for loved ones, anxiety for the future of the country, all of this became the new backdrop of his existence. This new reality shifted all priorities, all his personal struggles, his year-long battle with bipolar disorder, his regrets about the past. All of it suddenly seemed so small, so insignificant compared to the tragedy unfolding around him. What did lost youth matter when young men were dying on the front lines right now? What did his former career ambitions mean when the country's economy was collapsing and people were losing their homes and jobs? What did his desire for having more and better mean when the ultimate value had become simply life itself and the peaceful sky overhead? Before, he had wanted stability for himself. Now he wanted stability and peace for everyone. Before he dreamed of personal happiness. Now he dreamed of the war's end. At 36, amidst the rumbling reality of war, all his previous desires and aspirations condensed into a single thought. If only the war would end. This external threat, this shared calamity, had paradoxically influenced his inner state as well. On one hand, it added a new layer of anxiety he had to cope with. The news was oppressive, the uncertainty was frightening. He had to redouble his efforts to maintain his routine, fight off panic, and preserve a delicate balance. The structure of his day, exercise, therapy, Anya's support, all of this became even more essential. On the other hand, the war provided him with a new perspective. It made him value what he had even more: life, his imperfect health, love, a roof over his head, and the ability to work. It taught him to cherish every peaceful day as a gift. It showed him that his personal struggle was just a small part of the greater struggle for life and freedom. Perhaps he began helping others more, volunteering as much as he could, supporting those who were in more dire situations than himself. The realization that he wasn't alone in his difficulties gave him strength. He looked to the future without illusions, but also without despair. He knew his illness wouldn't go away, that he would have to stay vigilant, maintain his routine, and continue taking medication for the rest of his life. He knew that difficult days and new challenges lay ahead, both internal and external. But he also knew that he had learned to live with it. Thank you for listening to this story until the end. I hope you enjoyed it. In addition to sharing this story with you, I also have a commercial interest. So if you find it fair, I kindly ask you to check my payment details. I am willing to do everything necessary for this. For example, you can visit the My Books section and then the After Read section on my website, butenkocoach.com. BUTENKOCOACH